Hey guys, we're continuing our topic about rhythm and basic rhythmic concepts. The last video talked about how the beat is the steady underlying pulse in all of music, and rhythm is that pattern of change. And the fact that we use symbols called notes to indicate different durations or times of sounds, lengths of sounds that a sound is going to last. And we're going to talk today a little bit about the rests. Now, oddly enough, we use the very same relationship and names for the symbols we use for rests as we do for notes. So you have like the extroverted notes on this page and the introverted the other. So we had a whole note, we have whole rests. We had half notes, there are half rests, quarter rests, eighth rests, and 16th rests. Okay, if you take a look, you see that in the whole rest there is this bar, and then there is a small rectangle hanging down from below the bar. That little bar is actually one of the lines on the staff. We haven't really talked about staff yet, and when we do, you'll know that a whole rest has this bar, this rectangle hanging down from one of the staff lines. It looks like if you were going to walk on the staff line, you could fall into the hole. Yeah. The half rest. Remember, a half rest is worth half the value of the whole rest. Whole rests mean there is silence for the whole time. A half rest is the whole rest just flipped 180 degrees on the horizontal. And so the rectangle is on top of one of the staff lines. If I were to draw a little circle there with eyes and a mouth, it would look like a little hat underneath this hat, half rest, hat. That's usually how most kids remember it. Now, I gotta tell you, with quarter rests, these are kind of the weirdest squiggly things you have ever seen. They really are a Z with a C on the bottom, just kind of squished together this way. A quarter rest, a quarter rest is worth a quarter of the value of the whole rest. All right, and then the eighth rest. I find that teenagers really forget about the eighth rest, and I don't know why. It seems you have so much in common. It looks like a 7 with a zit on its nose. Yeah. So I don't know why you forget the eighth rest, because it seems like you would remember it. And then it follows the same convention that we had with notes, with the flags. These extra zit things are just added on the slanty line for the rest, for 16th rest. Remember, this communicates about how long we would be resting. And so it's important that you realize that we can talk about duration with specific numerical values. It'll make more sense when we talk about meter and when we talk about other things. And so I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview here. I have a note value pyramid right here. I could have put the rest value pyramid. They are the same. All right. So if we have a whole note, it's worth 4 counts in what we would call 4/4 time. In 4/4 time, because this whole note is worth 4 counts, a half note's worth half of that value. Half of 4 is 2. See how good the math is? Yeah, a quarter note in 4/4 time, a quarter note is worth a quarter of the value of the whole. A quarter of a whole is 1. So a quarter note would be 1 count in 4/4 time. And an eighth note is half of that quarter note's value, right? An eighth note, 1/8 note is an eighth of the value of the whole. And that would be, I find it easier to look to where the 1 is, because that's the natural point in math where we start to break things down into partial things. So we have 1 count here. When you have an eighth note, 1/8 note is half of a count. And then a 16th note would be a quarter, a 32nd would be, on and so on and so forth. I do always talk about these in fractional numbers instead of rational numbers, even though they technically are the same thing. A fraction implies dividing up what's there. in a way that a rational number doesn't. So 0.5 may be correct. Half to me just seems more specific. Now, for sure, once we're done talking about what's up with beat and the rhythm and notes and rests and how they relate to each other and how they can have durational value, we do need to talk about time signatures. And that'll be in our next video. Good luck!